Welcome to Your Business, Your Life with Matt DiFrancesco, your personal financial technician. Whether you've had years of success in your business or are just starting out, HighLift Financial can help you create a vision for your business, life, and family, and align these for generational wealth. So as they say, what happens in your life affects your business. And now, on to the show. Well, hello and welcome to Your Business, Your Life with me, Matt DiFrancesco. And here we are now. We're going to be getting into the conference season. And if you're going to be on the East Coast, I'm sure you're probably going to see my guest today. He's at every one of the conferences and just a delight to be around and just a wealth of knowledge. So John Shoemaker, he's the business development manager at BASF Automotive Refinish Coatings. So I asked him about years of experience. He said he didn't want me to say that because it would make him sound old. So we'll just say many years of experience in the industry, from working in shops to consulting to, and what he does with BASF. I hope this doesn't embarrass you, John, but I would consider you one of the gurus in the industry that, when you and Mike Anderson, when you guys talk, people listen. So I'm really excited to have you on the show here today, John. So, hey, welcome to Your Business, Your Life.
Well, thanks, Matt. Happy to be here, my friend.
Yeah. Well, we finally got you on. It's taken me a while to try to get you here, but we finally did. So, and I know with your experience, I mean, we could talk about a lot of different topics, but and we were just talking about this before we came on to record, but some of the big issues that shops, especially the independent shops, are facing right now. Kind of my role with collision shop owners is really helping them to create what they want their life and business to look like, and then how do we increase value in the business? And there's a lot of, non-financial things that can be done, but, the core of it really comes down to making sure that your business is operating at a very high level. With some of the issues that you're seeing out there in the place and some of the big ones that need to be addressed by shop owners. So could we highlight that again, kind of go back into that as we record this?
The first thing, Matt, is, I get hit all the time, paint costs too much.
Right.
But we have to understand everything's got up. I'm not going to defend price increases because somebody is going to, probably take a shot at me.
Right.
Price increases are a thing we have to deal with. I sat with the shop and he says, look, paint went up this percent. So I had him look up a fender on a Ford F-150 truck.
Okay.
Right. 4 years ago. Let's look at that fender today. Well, it went up. And really the only two differences is you bill parts by invoice.
Right.
And we bill paint by a multiplier. If we change that and bill our paint by invoice, that price increase is not really an issue.
Right.
Because we're managing our business by our costs.
Right.
And to me, that's what makes sense. Whether it's your labor rate, if you manage your business by costs, pay attention to what things cost you and bill appropriately,
Right.
we're there,
Yeah.
And so as I'm talking with shops, about invoicing, I also want to talk to them about consumption.
Okay.
Because sure, you could print an invoice and bill it, but if your painter's over mixing paint or something like that, that invoice isn't going to be relative to what was really needed.
Right.
And so then if somebody questions your invoice, then you go back and look at your mixing computer and go, oh, he had trouble with this color. He mixed it 3 times,
Right.
You can't bill that insurance company for mixing that paint 3 times.
Yeah.
And so it's important to validate that mix report, make sure it's good, produce a valid invoice.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't bill somebody for 2 fenders because one come in dented, and you forgot to process a credit.
Right.
So it's the same instance. Let's be factual with our information.
Right.
And truthful. print a valid invoice, and charge for it. And everybody that I've worked with has been paid for that invoice.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's commonplace. They're almost expecting the invoice now. You know, 3 years ago I couldn't say that, right?
Right.
They go, "Oh, you created this invoice in Excel or something," you
Hmm.
know, and no, this is an invoice. I buy in bulk. This is an invoice for my job or for what I mixed from that through my mixing bank.
Right. These are like common business principles. Why do you think shop owners struggle with that?
Uh, We've been trained.
Ah,
We've been trained by third-party payers that here's how it is.
right.
And unless we stop and think about how it is, it's always to their advantage,
Of
right?
course. Yeah.
You know, and there is no other business where the person paying the bill tells you what to charge.
Right.
That makes sense?
Oh, makes complete sense. Exactly. I mean, even hospitals don't do that.
No,
You know, you have a deductible and you've got to pay whatever the insurance company doesn't pay.
right. And I just broke a tooth, I cracked a tooth,
Uh,
and so I gotta get a crown, and they lay everything out. Here's what it's going to cost. Here's what your insurance company's going to pay, and here's what you're going to have to pay. You
right.
know,
Right.
and that's accepted.
Yeah. So why do you think like shop owners are hesitant to do that? To say, you know, hey, okay, Mr. Customer, here's what this the cost is, here's what the insurance company's paying. You know, it's something that kind of blows my mind. And with your experience, I'm kind of interested to like, why do you think shop owners are, you know, aren't willing to do that, to follow just those basic, you know, business principles?
One, I don't think that some of them have been trained
Right.
on business,
Yeah.
right? You see it in yours. You know, when you're working with somebody and you know their exit strategy.
Yep.
Oh, Bob, my painter wants to buy it.
Yep.
So, what kind of experience in business sense does Bob have?
Right.
So, we need to
Mhm.
help educate Bob so he understands business sense.
Yes.
Then there's others that, well, I'm going to lose customers if I do that.
Right. Yeah.
So, what customer are you losing? Because that customer usually accident every 7 years, right?
Right.
But I think the biggest issue is the insurance companies spend more money and work harder educating their customer
Right.
more than the collision centers.
Yes.
It, so if the collision centers would educate the customer like my dentist did,
Hmm.
right? Here's what we have. Here's my repair plan.
Right.
We have had concerns with your insurance company on these things
Mm.
and get that customer to address it. If I have a problem with my dental bill, I'm not calling the dentist, right?
Right.
I'm going to call my that third party payer and say, why aren't you paying this? Why do I have to pay
Right.
it? And there's two, I call them two towers in the
Uh-huh.
insurance world, right?
Right.
There's the appraisal side, which is what the shops deal with.
Right.
And then there's the claims handler, right?
Yep.
The customer talks with the claims handler. The shop talks with, you know, the appraisal side.
Right.
I tell shops, stop doing it.
Hmm.
You don't need to talk to them.
Right.
Create the repair plan, submit it. If it's denied, Mr. Customer, here's where we are.
Right.
I submitted my repair plan. Your insurance company is denied. I put in my notes that these are required operations. I encourage you to submit this through your claims handler and ask them what part of your policy does not cover these repairs.
Ah, see. Yeah.
Because the appraisal side, they're, I guess, rewarded on how much they can shrink that appraisal, right?
Right.
on the claims handler side, they are rewarded on 100% customer satisfaction
Okay.
and claim it, the claim retention. They want that person to renew their policy.
Right.
So if they have a bad taste in their mouth and it's close to renewal time, they might in 15 minutes or less change their company, right?
Right. Right. Exactly.
So that claims tower is the one that we need to educate our customers more, the collision center customers, that those people are there to help you.
Right.
The shop should talk to the appraisal people one time. And
Right.
that's when they submit the repair plan.
Uh-huh.
The rest, it's between the customer, the vehicle owner, and that insurance company.
Right.
And I think they're just scared.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
And the more I talk to them, the more I'm able to get them that way. I have a shop that doesn't even talk to the insurance company.
Really?
Signs customer signs repair authorization, they tear the vehicle down, they write the repair plan, put the vehicle outside, give it to them and say, process to your claims handler this repair plan. And when
Okay.
you get the check, we're going to start on your car.
Mm.
I think that's really the far left side of how we need to operate our business. I think you can dance on that fence a
Yeah.
little bit and submit your repair plan to the insurance company or their insurance, and then deal with what comes after.
Right.
Document your repair plan. I did my damage appraisal documentation class, I think 130 times last year.
Oh, really?
And all those markets, when I hear feedback from them in all those markets, they say the key to their success is that they write better.
Really?
They document better.
Okay. Okay.
And that gets them in a better position where they're not told no as much,
Right.
right? Because here's the repair process. Here's why I say I have to do it, right?
Right.
And sure, their appraisals are longer, but
Mhm.
it's nothing but paper, right?
Right. Exactly.
And usually they're digitally transmitted, so you don't even have to worry about paper,
Yeah.
And our estimating databases give us plenty of room to provide that documentation.
Right.
And that's where I think if we get better at that,
Hmm.
we get paid more for
Right.
what we do.
Right. Oh, I think documentation is key, and it's really like that in any business. I mean,
Anywhere.
that's right.
Go back to my crown. Hey, you have to have this, you have to have this, and a temporary crown, then you get your new, and it's all broken down and
Exactly.
explained, right?
That's right. Exactly. Do you think that more shop owners need to get, I guess, for lack of a better term, some sales training on how to communicate with customers, or at least have their front end people, whether it's their estimators or their CSRs or whoever's in contact with the customer, on being able to explain these type of things to the customer?
Oh, absolutely. And you have to do it up front. You can't do it when you get that appraisal
Right.
back from it and say, oh, Mr. Customer, they're going to pay for this. That needs to happen up front,
Yeah.
because the reason it needs to happen up front is they're in their ears saying, oh, you wouldn't have that problem if you took it to one of our program shops,
Right. Uh-huh.
right?
That's where probably the fear comes in.
Yeah. So you need to educate them. And, Mickey and I talked about is your difference. What's your difference?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Hmm.
So you're different in that program shop because when you have certifications or, whatever it is, you're Volvo certified, and not that you're Volvo certified, but here's what it means to you, Mr. Customer,
Right.
right? So they understand. So when that third-party payer calls, well, if you would take it to your program shop, oh, well, is your program shop Volvo certified, right?
Right.
I was down in Florida
Hmm.
doing some production planning training, and I come walk into the office just to check on the manager, and there's a tow truck driver standing there to pick up a car. I says,
Really?
I says, they come to the front office to pick up total losses. Oh, he's not picking up a total loss. He's picking up a customer's car and taking it to another shop.
Wow.
And so I went down to the manager. I says, why? It happened because the third party payer got to the customer and said, we can get your car done without any outside cost, quicker, faster, sooner, better, right?
Wow. Right.
And that CSR wasn't educated enough to say, well, wait a minute, and this happened to be a Tesla shop.
Oh, wow.
There were only 2 Tesla shops within 50 miles. So where were they taking it?
Right.
It wasn't to a Tesla certified shop.
No, no.
So understanding your market and
Right.
who is in your market so you can illustrate to a customer what your difference is,
Yes.
right?
Right.
I'm Tesla certified or I'm Volvo certified. There's not another one in 40 miles. Where are they taking your car?
Right. It's interesting. Being in financial services, I mean, we suffer from what I call a scarcity mentality. So it's like, especially when early on the business, you want to get everybody. And if another advisor gets a client, all of a sudden we get panicked and because we think we have to be everything to everybody. One of the best things I did in my career was to decide I'm going to niche in the collision industry or a very specific industry because it takes away. Now I know who my ideal client is. I think shops have to kind of get out of the mentality that we have to fix every car out there and define like who is my ideal customer. And if somebody comes in and they don't define that, we've got to be okay with saying no to that. I mean, how do you feel about that?
100%. I was in a shop 2 weeks ago and he was proud that he had 35 OEM certifications.
Wow.
One, I think that is horrible to manage.
I agree.
So
Well, think of
I
the
went
cost of
in,
managing it, just, to keep up all those certifications.
right. So I went into our repair portal and our reporting portal and pull it down. I says, yeah, but really, you're only fixing 6 brands.
Yeah.
Get rid of those others. Do what you're good at. You
Right.
must be good at fixing these 6 brands,
Yep.
right? And I told him saying, right now you're trying to be everything to everybody,
Uh-huh.
and it's not working.
Right.
So if you focus on these 6 brands, you're only training on 6 brands, right?
Right.
You're only tooling for 6 brands.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes more sense. And so he systematically, dropped these subscriptions. He didn't renew them as they came up.
Okay.
You don't need all those.
Right.
You're driving yourself crazy,
Yeah.
right? Oh, I have 4 different welders because I have all these certifications.
Yep.
Find the certifications to use the same welder. Get rid
Right.
of the rest, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's impossible to be everything to everybody.
Right.
And we can't please the third party payer and please the customer at the same time. We have to pick one.
Right.
And we need to pick the customer.
I completely agree.
I wasn't there to wreck the car.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't buy the insurance, right?
Right.
So why am I billing the brunt of all the aggravation? Right?
Yeah. It's interesting. I get friends of mine all the time now that I'm working in the industry and, they have an accident or, somebody backed into their car or something like that. And they ask me where to go. And I'm like, what vehicle do you have? And I'll tell them different shops. And they're like, well, why don't I just go to this one down here, which is, like a consolidator. And I'm like, well, I mean, do you want your car fixed right? Or do you just want it fixed?
Sure.
And so I end up spending a lot of time just educating them on the differences because the lay people don't know. We as consumers have no idea what the difference is between any of those. And that's where I think it's up to the shop to start educating the customers on those things and differentiate yourself. I always use the example. I remember, so CIC a couple years ago, I was on a panel with like 4 other M&A people. I was the only non-M&A person on it. And Frank Turlip was hosting it. And the last question he asked, he said, so is the industry going to become just like the Walmarts and Home Depots of the world? I happened to have the mic and I said, oh, over my dead body. And everybody kind of laughed. And I said, look, I said, I say that kind of tongue in cheek, but I have a Home Depot. I got Home Depot and Lowe's in my town. Okay. And then I've got Bentley Hardware. Bentley Hardware is a 75-year family owned hardware shop. It's your old time, the narrow aisles. But when I need to do a job, I can go there. I know somebody's going to meet me at the door, ask me, how can I help you? I tell them the job I need. They will literally walk me through. So I've had a guy one time, we were in the back room for 45 minutes actually creating a solution for a job that I had in my house. And so I'm willing to go and I'm willing to pay more, okay, to get that personalized service. And I see the independent shop kind of fitting the same type of model. But again, you have to educate the customer because it's not like in a hardware store where I'm going to go down once a week or once every couple weeks to be there. You're going when your car's wrecked, okay? And when your car needs fixed, and that might be maybe only once a year. So I think it's really incumbent on the shop owners to do this education.
Absolutely. And, auto body associations are helping a lot with that.
Yeah.
They're helping getting the word out. These conferences you talked about at the beginning, I wish everybody could bring a customer,
Yes.
And listen to what we're hearing.
Right. Oh, definitely.
That needs to, but my job is to educate the shop, to educate the customer.
Right.
And help them understand it. It all goes back to that difference.
Right.
Do you have a Five Guys hamburger or do you have McDonald's burger? Right.
Right.
They all have the exact same components.
Yes.
Just different grades, right?
Yep. Exactly.
So our shops all have the same components, but we have different grades. So that's back to explaining your difference to the customer of why your ICAR certification. What does that mean to the customer?
Right.
Well, we're trained in each system to make sure that each system functions properly.
Right.
Will your vehicles return back to you?
Yes.
We do dynamic calibrations. We test drive every single car.
Right.
To run the checks and balances to make sure that when you put in your driveway, you don't have a check engine light because you're the third person that started it and drove it over 35 miles an hour. Things like that is just, we got to drill down and explain that to the customer because the customer's not in the right frame of mind.
No.
After the accident, and if they're third-party payers saying, well, if you just take it here, you don't have to worry anymore.
Right.
Until you pick it up and stuff don't work.
Right. Exactly. I had that one time. I had a Volkswagen Jetta diesel that I slid on some ice and I hit a pole. I took it to the shop. I got it back 3 times and it didn't work.
Yeah.
I think that's where, and I hope shop owners understand how traumatic of an experience it is for a customer to have their car wrecked. Like it disrupts their whole life.
Everything.
It disrupts your life. I mean, you can't,
How
now
am I gonna get to work?
go to the grocery store, just, get the kids to their sporting events, all of this stuff. It's really important.
And then the third-party payer says, well, you have 7 days of rental.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you take it to our program shop.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So I think that's really important. And I know we're getting close to time, but I want to ask you this because one of my clients, actually, he started a program too, where they actually will go and develop better relationships with a lot of the claims adjusters. And they're finding a lot of success with that because now when, there's a difference in the repair plan to what the insurance company makes, because they developed kind of a rapport and also some integrity with that claims adjuster, they're finding that the claims adjusters are fighting for them more. Any thoughts on like something like that? Looking at not just working with the customer, but how can we develop better relationships with the different claims managers?
Just one word, consistency.
Okay.
Be consistent in your repair plan. If you charge for something today, always charge for it, right?
Right.
And
Right.
be consistent in your charges. I asked the shop, hey, what's your labor rate? Well, it depends on the insurance company. Well, it shouldn't.
Wow.
Your labor rate's your labor rate, right? And I laugh at some of my repair planning classes, and I says, hey, we got to adjust this fender. How much do you think it is? Oh, it's an hour. Okay, we got to repair this wiring harness. There's 4 wires in it. What do you think? Oh, about an hour. And so we become like the dollar store. Everything's in an hour. And I says, what if we develop some consistency here? So we have 4 wires in a harness.
Right.
A tenth to me is 5 minutes. Is it going to take us 10 minutes to strip that wire, put a connector on it, or is it going to be 15 minutes? Whatever it is
Right.
it 3/10? So now we have 4 wires in a harness, it's 8/10,
Right.
right? And if rather than a manual line to align a fender, well, if we go in our estimating database, select a fender and then select the operational line,
Uh-huh.
and then use a time that's consistent with R&I.
Right.
Maybe it's 1.2 to R&I it. Well, it should only take 6/10 then
Right.
to align it, right? And develop some consistency in your writing, because that develops that trust that you talked about,
That's right.
right? Hey, these guys document everything. There's not 20 manual lines at the bottom of their sheet. If I want to know what's happening in the door, all I have to do is go under the door heading and everything is listed there. All the seam sealers, cavity waxes, everything right there, rather than generically down at the bottom, right?
Right. Right. Exactly.
So you become systematic and your appraisals look great from top to bottom. And it's easier for that third party appraiser to explain it to his boss, because that's all you have to do
Right.
is make it easy for him to explain to his boss why he approved it.
That's right. That's right.
Because if he can't explain it, his boss says, hey, take it off.
Right.
I tell everybody, you're a news reporter.
Yeah.
They have
That's good. Yeah. That's
their
good.
objectives: who, what, why, where, and how.
Yep.
Right?
Hmm.
If you can explain that in your appraisal,
Right.
you're fine. But I have writers, okay, I see that line. Why is that line there? Oh, well, the tech told me to put it there. Well, then the appraiser's going to tell you to take it off,
Right.
right?
Right.
You need to know what you've written, why you've written. And
Right.
if you can explain the who, what, why, where, and how,
Hmm.
you're not going to get pushback.
I think that comes down to just everything that we've been talking about: consistency, documentation, and we build trust not only with the customer, but also with the insurance company. And I think you're right. I think that anytime we can build trust, it's just going to make the process so much easier for everybody involved. And it's really could be a
Absolutely. And
win-win.
just think about the people that your appraisals are read by.
Yeah.
And all you have is black words on white paper. So
Mhm.
you have to reach out to all those, what I call knowledge bases,
Right.
right? Third party payers a little bit more knowledgeable than the customer, right? But
Of
you've got to
course.
write it for the customer understands,
Yeah.
so you've got to provide that documentation where you're using one language to talk to really 5 or 6 different knowledge bases.
Right. Exactly. So let me ask you this, John, just to kind of close this out. And I know you, BASF, you do a lot of this with shops and with your customers, but what are some other avenues that shop owners could look at to start to get educated on how to do these process, how to document properly, how to bill properly, how to create clean repair plans that are going to make it much more manageable for the insurance adjusters? What are some resources out there that some owners could look at?
Kristen Felder at Collision Hub's got some awesome classes.
Okay.
Uh, does a real good job showing documentation, what to look for, how to look for it. Uh, Automotive Management Institute, Mark Claypool just took over
Right.
and he's going to do some great things. They have some great business classes.
Yeah.
Mike Anderson, myself, and several other of us that are, spend a lot of time out in the industry,
Right.
help develop those classes, those
Right.
courses. So it's consistent. You're hearing the right things from the right people. It's
Right.
people that are involved in the industry telling you how to live in the industry,
Yeah.
rather than, somebody that's trying to teach a business course. We're going to teach you a business course
Well,
on a collision business.
yeah. Right.
not
No,
on a
exactly.
bakery or not on a restaurant. That what makes the difference. But AMI and Collision Hub,
Okay.
and what we provide as a paint manufacturer
Hmm.
to our customers. We have a lot of detailed reporting
Right.
through our Refinity reporting portal, where our customers get different push reports that tell them how they're doing by the month, and
Right.
I work with them and say, here's what I want you to look for.
Yeah.
And the other bonus is I get the same report at the same time. So if I look at it, I go, oh, you really need to look at this.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that internal, shop coaching, I think is everybody needs a coach,
Oh God, yes.
you know,
Uh-huh.
and I think that's where we, step a little bit above is
Yeah. Oh,
good coaching tools.
yeah, I agree. And it's interesting. Like I have a coach, I've been working with him for probably 15 years, and he has all of us, and he tells me all the time, you need to devote whether a top line or on income, 5 to 10% of that amount into your budget for personal development. And that's to develop you as a business person. And I think, as I talked about at the beginning, we're getting into conference seasons. If you're not going to conferences and listening to guys like John talk or Mike Anderson or, any of these people that we've talked about, you're missing out. And I see too many shop owners are like, well, I'm too busy to do that
Yeah.
stuff. Well, you guess what? That's part of the problem.
Well, because you're busy fixing things because you don't have the knowledge to do it. Dave
Yeah.
Lure had
Oh yeah,
that
Dave.
thing last week, right?
Huh?
All day long. I had it running in the background while I was doing other things, and I had to bounce out to go into different meetings, but
Right.
it was like 50 TED Talks, because everybody talked for 10 or 15 minutes,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's sound bites. Um, so usually you're busy fixing things,
Right. Right.
and knowledge helps those things not occur, right?
Right.
You can do a lot of prevention. You can prevent things a lot easier. I was a firefighter,
Mhm.
and it took me a lot more time to put the fire out than to tell you how not to have a fire.
Right. Right. Exactly.
And if we carried that mentality, you know, and Dave Lure, he has four little blocks. You
Right.
know, here's things that are important to do. Here's things to do because I didn't do the important things.
Right.
And but those four daily squares that he talks about all the time.
Yep.
Um, we've got to put ourselves in a position to be business people.
Amen.
I don't think we do that. We
Great.
manage by default
Right.
in
Right.
way too many times.
Yeah. And I've heard Dave's talk on that, and it's right out of Covey's because Covey talks about the more you focus on the important, you can start to reduce the urgent down.
Yes, yeah. But if we're in a reactive management mode, you will always be in a reactive management mode. And if you can't pull yourself away to, pick up an AMI class here on how to do this, or, something from Dave, or how to write your damage appraisal better, you're always going to be in that reactive mode.
Yeah.
And that's not sustainable.
No.
You
Nope.
know,
Hmm.
Aaron Schulenberg at SEMA, we're just talking about, appraisal burnout,
Yeah.
right? Because one, they know what they know,
Yes.
but they don't necessarily know what they should know
Hmm.
to get to the next level and know how to document it so you don't get the pushback, because that's what they're burned out for.
That's right.
Writing that fifth and sixth supplement explaining the same thing,
Right.
that's
Exactly.
what's burning them out.
Do it right the first time.
Yeah. Get
Yep.
the training you need to do it right the first time and have a little happiness in your life.
Yeah.
Kyle and his brother at K&M, those guys, they've got it figured out,
They do.
and they're working 410s.
Hmm.
I've been in and out of their shop, and this guy comes in, he says, okay, I'm going to take my son to wrestling practice. Okay, we'll see you in an hour, where they have that kind of latitude
Yeah.
with that work-life balance. And
That's it. That's a way to keep tax. Everybody's saying they can't find tax. I mean, those are the type of things that you need to be able to do.
yeah, that
But
work-life balance. So there's, and if you know somebody in the industry, man, reach out to them,
Yeah.
And these Facebook forums, I just like to watch them to see what's going on, and I'll reply to some stuff,
Uh,
but that's not the place to
no,
figure out how to run your business,
no,
you
no.
know, reach out, talk, find a trust. I have connected shop owners, that are in Maryland with shop owners in Florida, where they're not competitive, but
Yeah.
they're in the same battle,
Right. Yeah.
and let's, talk to, hey, well, I tried this. Well, hey,
Yeah. I think that's where the collision cocktail hour and some of the power behind it is, because you've kind of got shop owners all over the place and they're willing to share. That's one of the things that really appeals to me about the industry. I mean, people, care about it, and, successful shop owners are willing to help other shop owners, but you got to be willing to reach out.
you have to, because
Yes.
they'll share, and I've say, people ask me, why are you still working? Uh, I love the industry,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I battled, I left the shop in 2008 and
Uh-huh.
started my consulting company. And then I've been with BASF since 2015.
Right.
But when I started my consulting company, the whole premise was I want to pay it forward.
Yes.
And as I do that, I've gathered a lot of friends in the industry. If somebody in Maryland says, hey, man, I got this, why don't you talk to this guy in Texas? Because I know,
Right.
I've talked to him. He'll talk. And there's a lot of people out there who want to pay it forward.
Yeah.
You just have to reach out and ask. But,
Yeah.
those forums are good. It's good conversation sometimes.
Entertainment, right?
Right. If you need help with your business,
Yeah.
reach out to somebody in the business and get yourself some, good help, because I know I needed it. I know they need it.
Mhm.
And there's people out here that are very, just like you said, that are very willing to talk to somebody.
Right.
I'm, Oklahoma just had a big event with their association.
Right.
I went down and I spoke at Georgia Collision Industry Association.
Okay.
I'm going to go speak at CCA I think in April.
Right.
I'll be at the Northeast Show,
East, right.
CIC, and then the Southeast Collision Conference, all in the next couple of months,
Right.
helping myself get better.
Hmm.
You stop learning.
Yeah. If you're not busy growing, you're busy dying. So
You're
that's
just
the old
treading
saying.
water, and this industry can be a tsunami. So you don't want to tread water.
You better believe it. So that sounds good. So, well, listen, John, I know we could go on and on. I want to be respectful of your time, but do you have any quick final thoughts?
Industry is a great place to be. Just educate yourself so you could be in it.
I get it. Yep. Sounds good. So listen, John, I want to thank you for being on Your Business, Your Life. And the last thanks always goes to you, the audience. Thank you for listening to Your Business, Your Life with me, Matt DiFrancesco. And if you're not subscribed to the podcast, please click the subscribe button below. That way, when a new episodes drop, you get to hear great guests like John here. And also, if you're watching on YouTube, please give us a 5-star review. That way we move up the charts and we can get these great guests out to more and more people. So again, thank you for listening, John. Thank you for being on. I really, really appreciate it. I know we've been trying to hook up for a while, so I'm glad we finally got a chance to have this
Schedules get
conversation.
crazy,
That's right. That's exactly right. And I will see you at Northeast.
Yes, sir.
So sounds good. So we'll maybe have to have a cocktail.
There we go. Thanks, buddy.
All right, or some ice cream.
Ice cream.
There,
Yeah, you can get me with ice cream.
There you go. Well,
I'll get in the van for ice cream.
There you go. That sounds like a plan. So again, thanks again, John. Thanks, audience. Make every day your best day, and take care, and God bless. Hey, I really want to thank you for listening to the Your Business, Your Life podcast. If you want to be notified when new episodes become available, click the subscribe button below.
All information is obtained from sources deemed reliable but not guaranteed. No tax or legal advice is given nor intended. Content provided herein or on our website should not be construed as an offer for investment advice or for securities, insurance, or other investment products. Investments involve the risk of loss and are not guaranteed. Consult a qualified legal, tax, accounting, or financial professional before implementing any investments or strategy discussed here. Highlift Financial is a DBA for DiFrancesco Financial Concierge, LLC. Investment advisory services are provided through Cornerstone Planning Group, LLC, an independent advisory firm registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission.